Sometimes it's nice to just get back to a cold, crisp lager, and Pilsner is the beer to do that job absolutely perfectly. So up next is Curious Society's Pilsner Lager. Hey, welcome back to Views and Brews. I am Brendan, and this is Curious Society Pilsner Lager. It is a 4.75% ABV Pilsner, so it's a perfect session style Pilsner, as Pilsners usually are. It's interesting in the fact that it's gluten free, which is going to be good news for a lot of people out there. It's classically hopped with Saaz, which is a noble hop, famed for giving it kind of that sort of spicy edge, but a little bit of zing to a little bit of citrus going on in there, a little bit floral. And there's Mittlefruh from the Hallertau region, both German noble hops that are usually used in this kind of a style beer. Anything that's a cold, crisp lager is going to be good for noble hops. And what else do they say about the beer? So it doesn't give you too much information other than it's barley water hops, which is a bit of a shame. I kind of like to know exactly what's in here. Obviously, it's Pilsner lager, so I'm going to guess it's 100% Pilsner malts, and it is just bittered with Saaz and Mittlefruh, but maybe there is a bit of aroma hops going on in there from those hops as well. But we'll see what it's like. Let's get it into the glass. Now, in the world of like craft beer, I mean, there's a huge Pilsner Urquell glass as well. Yeah, so in the world of craft beer, I mean, Pilsner is now, it's a tricky sale because people want highly expressive beers, and you know, you give them a Pilsner, it can sometimes come across as like, well, this is a bit of a plain, bland, or even boring kind of beer. But beer doesn't have to be a triple dry hopped pastry sour to be good. You know, if you make a good beer of its style, that's good enough. And I think Pilsner is one of those styles that does that. It's a really soft water complexion, brilliant clarity type of beer, with decent amount of carbonation going on, and a nice white, slightly off rocky head going on in there. There should be a bit of sweetness to the Pilsner malt, and there should be a nice bit of spicy nose on the top of it. So on the nose of this kind of a beer, it's such a clean, crisp fermentation because it's fermented at lower temperatures. So what that allows to happen is the sweetness of the malt to come through, and also those bittering and flavouring hops and sometimes aroma hops to shine through as well. And on the nose of this, I am getting a slightly herbal, which is from the Mittlefruh, and slightly lemony, bright and floral aromas on the nose. So that's just the sort of beer that you'd want, nice and cold. Yeah, really nice sort of herbal aroma on the nose there. Refreshing, crisp pint of Pilsner. Sometimes that's all you need. Cheers, Slancha, let's give it a go. So there's a little bit of a zing on the palate, which is a combination of the carbonation, prickly sort of carbonation coming out, and combined with that that Saaz hop, which is really just lightly peppery and a bit spritzy, lemony citrus going on in there, and a nice bit of a floral bouquet. It all opens up on the palate. And because there's not too much esters going on in this kind of a beer, in this style, you get to experience the hop a little bit better, which is a really nice edge. There is a little bit of a sweetness going on. There's a little bit of sort of a grainy, not grainy, there's a little bit of maltiness to this beer, and that is, of course, Pilsner malt. yeah, so you're getting a good balance of maltiness to hoppiness on this. And the hops are just very light bittering, probably around 15 IBUs or something like that. But it's got that really nice crisp, drying, thirst quenching ability to it, and that's sometimes what you need in a beer. Sometimes you don't need all these huge flavors. You know, this is a style of beer where you'd want to pick up 4 of them in one go and just drink all 4 of them, whereas you couldn't necessarily say that about, you know, 7% IPA, where you know, after 1 pint of it, I'm sure you'd want to move on to something else. So this is a proper session beer at 4.75%. Gluten-free, I mean, if you hadn't have told me it was gluten-free, I don't think I would have noticed, to be honest. So that's a real tip of the hat to the people that have brewed this. This is, of course, brewed by Larkin's Brewery, and they seem to be diversifying their branding to having their main branding, which is Larkin's Brewery, and they also have this kind of Curious Society thing. Now, I'm not quite sure how the 2 brands are being separated or who's brewing what. I'm sure it's the same brewer brewing a whole lot of them. But what they're doing is they're making these a little bit more in that €3 bracket. And there's 4 or 5 of them out. Really interesting label wrap as well, which is kind of bizarre. I don't know, they all seem to be sat on a log, all different creatures. Kind of weird. Curious Society. I like it. I like that beer, and I'd like it outside in the summer under a parasol, just sitting there, not asking too much of the beer. That is my view on this really well-made brew. Cheers, sláinte, and it's on to the next one.